strength, and dreams within them. Visibility is not just about being seen, it's about being recognized, valued, and heard for who you truly are. Today, I'm honored to sit with a woman who has made it her mission to change that. She is an award-winning media professional, producer, entrepreneur with over 2 decades of experience. She founded TI22 Films, one of the UAE's leading boutique production houses, and went on to create Mission Visible, a movement empowering women to step forward and own their stories with the confidence. Her work has helped countless women reclaim their narratives, their confidence, and their place in the world. Join me in this powerful conversation with Reem El Houni as we explore what it really takes for a woman to move from being unseen to becoming unstoppable. Welcome, Reem.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and it's so amazing. You know, maybe we are from a different universe, like you're a media person, I'm a hospital person. But when I heard you, I felt we have the same goal, like making women visible. Like her, she should be seen, she should be heard and valued for what she carries, yeah? So I heard the word mission and visible. It was so powerful. So you created it, but even when you hear it today, what feeling or vision does it bring up to you?
Honestly, it's a movement that really excites me, and it's something I'm incredibly passionate about.
Wow.
Mainly because, you know, I'm in the media world and I spent over 2 decades behind the camera. So in our industry, you know, I used to look at people in front of the camera and think, wow, you know, well, they've got such confidence, they've got such charisma, they've got so much credibility. And as I grew in this industry, I realized, hang on, they're no different to me and you. You know, anyone in front of the camera, that's their job. We're making them famous by watching them do their job. And it just kind of really started to shift in this industry. The more well-known people I met, the more famous people I met, and seeing them just like I would anyone else.
Yeah.
And I've really had to push myself to become more visible and come in front of the camera, specifically when I started my company. So my company's now in its 15th year. But even in the beginning, I didn't. I stayed behind. But I think something happened during COVID where everyone had to get more visible and had to kind of turn their cameras on and do what they can online. And I think that was probably the point which really accelerated my personal visibility journey. So I think when I think about Mission Visible, I think about what my mindset used to be before, what used to hold me back before, and all of these feelings about maybe not being comfortable in front of the camera, maybe not being worthy of being in front of the camera. And I think about my journey and where I am today, and how I've embraced it and the impact it's had on my life. And I realize that I can help so many other people do that. And that's what makes me excited, is when I realize that if I've been able to do it for myself, it means that it's possible for absolutely anybody.
Amazing. You see, I feel like I work with the women also, and I feel like they are very deep. Like in the beginning, I wasn't into my profession, but you know, I became gynecologist because my mother wanted me to. I'm that generation, you know, and coming from a culture where it used to happen. But with the women, you realize the depth, the layers, and how they can be carrying the wisdom and all the ideas and could be still not talking. So I can see like it has become your life's mission. But can you take us to that thing where you just thought that it's not just your idea, it's your life's mission to bring visibility to the women?
I think I just want to touch on something you just mentioned about culture, because I think especially if you grow up as Middle Eastern female or Asian or anywhere in this region, you probably have grown up in a universe where it felt a little bit inappropriate to put yourself out there. I know for me, you know, I'm Arab and my mom would say things like aib, you know, which means it's inappropriate if you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that shift in the cultural mindset is sometimes very, very difficult for people to start. And your question about when did I feel it was a mission, honestly, I didn't know to begin with. In the beginning, it was more about me getting out of my comfort zone, me really embracing the camera and me trying to grow my business. I'm a CEO. I need to grow my business, and I understand that visibility is part of that. But when I started to realize it was making an impact was really when people started to come up to me strangers who I've never met. You know, I'd suddenly be in a mall. I hate malls, but like on that odd time I'd be there. Someone would come up to me and go, "Oh, are you Reem? Oh, I watched this content. I read this. It had such an impact on me." And it was such a strange thing when it started to happen because, as I mentioned, I grew up in the media industry and I was so used to that happening to celebrities and famous people. But now I've got people coming up to me because they're following my journey and following my content, and it's having an impact. And gradually that started to happen more and more. I started to speak more and I'd get more direct messages and people, you know, reaching out to me saying, you know, what you said on stage moved me. What you said exactly related to my childhood experience. What you said made me cry, and I realized that I can do this myself. And that to me is when you realize that goes way beyond pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. But this is now a need because there are so many people who need that accountability, need that push. And I have something to offer. I have something to share that is touching people. So I think it's only recently, I would say in the last 2 years, that I felt this is a lot bigger than my personal journey. It is a movement, and it is something that everyone needs to embrace to get out of their own way and claim that spotlight.
You know, we in our medical world, we say that you have that positive radiation. Please transfer that. So I met you first time. You remember, I wasn't following you because I am coming from a different universe. But I just felt very nice about your energy and everything. And I felt my audience, which is actually a young woman who is following me because of their health reasons. So I just felt that you should be out there, and my audience, that young women or all ages, they should see you, and then they should realize that women has to be visible. So I can understand from your personal experience this, which shaped your lens on the women visibility. So what was that point which made you feel that you are so unseen and you have to be seen?
I don't think there was one specific point. I think there were many points. And often I talk about the concept of being leapfrogged. And what do I mean by being leapfrogged? It's when, you know, again, I tell people we don't mean any ill will on anyone. But, you know, you happen to be scrolling social media and you see that someone who maybe doesn't have the same level of experience as you, maybe isn't as credible as you, maybe they haven't been in the market as long as you have, but somehow they're attracting all of these amazing opportunities. And you sit there and you think, how did that happen? How did that happen? And often it's simply because they're more visible than you. And I think I've just had too many experiences like that where you start to realize, hang on, you know, why isn't it me? You know, I have been around, I've been in this market for 18 years. You know, that's not, you know, a short period of time. I've been in this industry for over 25 years. I really do know my stuff. I've worked on some very, very high caliber global projects. So my credibility is high. But what is preventing me attracting the same opportunities or bigger opportunities? And I think gradually you push yourself step by step. You know, one video, two video, one post, two post, one speaking engagement, until eventually you're comfortable, until eventually you're in a zone where, I'm being myself. I'm just sharing my expertise with other people.
Exactly.
And then that resonated. So I don't think it's one thing. I think for me, at least, it was gradual. It was multiple things. And then eventually it was like, I need to start doing this. But also, if I'm honest, I'm in the media industry. So I'm always telling other people to be visible and create content and create videos.
Exactly.
So for me, I couldn't exactly sit there and tell other people to do it if I wasn't doing it myself. So a big part of that journey was, you know what, I need to put my foot where my mouth is and just start creating more content. And it worked. And I think that's the key. When you get one piece of content work, one person reach out, the second person reach out, you get invited here, invited there, you realize, okay, there's interest here. There is a purpose.
Exactly. See, and you have vision and you have energy also. So it's very important. I have seen a lot of people have a lot of ideas, but you really, even when you invite somebody to podcast, they agree, they like the idea, but they don't want to come out of their comfort zone. And they just keep postponing. They keep telling you like, they want to come, they're coming. But I invited you, I could see the energy. So that also transmits, you know, like when you motivates people by that, and you're doing it that. And I know it's not been easy. There could be things, challenges. So tell us, what was the hardest part of it and how did you overcome that?
I actually just want to touch on what you mentioned a moment ago, because for people who don't feel comfortable doing it and are constantly delaying, I think a couple of things that really helped me is realizing that everyone has knowledge to share and everyone is an expert in their field. And it's really about just embracing your knowledge and sharing what you know. And I found that the more I embraced my knowledge, the easier it became. I wasn't trying to be someone else. I was just sharing what I do on a day-to-day level. So I think it's really about honing in on your level of expertise and being comfortable to share it. I think the second thing that really helped me is understanding that it's not vanity. And I often say to people, visibility isn't vanity, it's sanity. It's about understanding the potential and the fact that this is now a business development strategy. Visibility is what helps you attract the next opportunity. And there are so many statistics out there that support that. I think it's as high as, it just grew to 82% of people are more likely to do business with you if they're following you on social media. 66% of people are more likely to do business with you if they've watched a video of you. So to me, it's like, this is simple math. It's like the equation is there. The more content you put out, the more people resonate and connect with you, the higher the chances they're going to want to work with you. So I think people need to understand that we're in a new era right now, and it's very important for them to be out there just to grow. Coming to your question about the challenges and the hardships, I think for me, one of the difficult moments is that people always think I'm very confident. I'm very, very confident in my subject matter, but that does not mean that I'm not self-conscious, right? So I think, I was always someone who, for example, I'd go through a couple of years where I was really big, and then I'd go through a couple of years where I was really thin, and I was very self-conscious of how I looked. And I was someone who always avoided mirrors, and I just felt uncomfortable. If the camera went on, within I want to say within a minute, I was feeling very edgy, and I was like, oh, okay, are we done? Can we stop? And I think getting over that was probably one of the hardest things. And I work with so many, not just women, men too, so many people who are just uncomfortable seeing themselves or hearing themselves or seeing their own reflection. And honestly, a few things helped. I think one is, exactly what I mentioned earlier, focusing on my knowledge. As long as I was educating people, people were learning something from me, gradually I realized that no one cares. No one actually cares. No one cares if I'm fatter, if I'm thinner, if I'm more gray this week. No one cares. As long as they're learning, then that's it. And I think the more I focused on my content being of value, all these superficial things, which normally are what prevent you from doing something, I realized it's all in my head. It's in no one else's head. And something that helped me a lot is, I often don't watch my content. I don't watch it. I don't care. You asked me before we started, am I happy with how I look? I don't care. It's not actually about how I look. It's about whether or not someone got inspired or motivated by what I'm sharing to do something about it. Is anyone going to care that I'm more gray this week than I was last week? No. So I'm going to stop caring about those things as well, because that's just a limiting belief for myself.
Exactly. Actually, I have guessed men and women both, but I have seen women is a bit, just checking themselves. Even sometimes I share my compact and they're like, so that's it. But I love what you said. One more thing, being in media makes people believe that you're approachable. So that is the thing probably that maybe, people find that this person is approachable. So maybe good person to do the business, or maybe a good start to approach some person. Other thing, you said that you are confident or not. So I'll tell you something. I am basically introvert. So we doctors, we have passed most of our lives sitting inside a room reading. So my patients and everybody in the world tells me, you can't be an introvert. And I said, believe me, first 20 years of my life, I didn't speak. They said, they can't believe. I said, see, for me, it's a meaningful purpose of life. This education must reach the women. So I totally agree that you come out of your comfort zone because there's something meaningful.
But I think that's the key. The two things I want to mention is I'm also an introvert. Everyone thinks I'm an extrovert. I've just learned how to push myself to promote myself and to interact with people. But when I'm most myself is actually when I'm sitting on my own on my couch watching Netflix. Like that is my universe, right? So I think it's realizing that just because you're visible, just because you're out there, it doesn't mean that you need to change your personality. You still are who you are. It's just about sharing who you are publicly. And it's in your control how much or how little you do. But interestingly, what you mentioned about doctors, the number one industry that actually benefits from being visible is the healthcare industry.
It is.
You know,
These days.
not just these days. I think healthcare, and there are lots of studies that prove healthcare, followed by accountants, auditing, psychologists, anywhere where you need to build trust. You know, because being visible and being out there and creating video content allows the audience to get to know you and trust you in a way where they will want to work with you.
Exactly.
And there's no other industry that requires the highest level of trust. So
Trust,
to all the
exactly.
introverted doctors out there, this is your moment.
You see, somebody putting you, trusting you for being under anesthesia and giving their body to you, it's a huge thing. So, you know, probably you're right that, not probably, of course you're right, that doctor has to work on building trust much more than any other profession.
But it's so fascinating to me because it's the doctors, it's the auditors, it's the accountants, it's the psychotherapists, it's all the people who don't want to be visible. It's all the people who are like, no, and the lawyers. All the people who are like, I work in a confidential space, so therefore, what will my clients think if I'm out there who need to be out there? You know, so it's very interesting, that dichotomy.
And some people also have this thought that if we share everything in the podcast, what we'll be doing in the clinic? Oh, my.
But you see that I think every industry has that challenge. And I'm a very big believer of you need to educate as much as possible. Because at the end of the day, if I've educated you so much, when you're ready to work with someone, you're going to choose me because you'll see me as that fountain of knowledge, right?
Exactly.
Instead of that person who's holding back. People are always going to go to free knowledge first before they start exploring professionals.
And it will be educated society. So when patient is coming and demanding some antibiotics or some surgery, they would know what is the in and out of that. So amazing. You know, I met you and I knew you're an introvert. You know how? Because when people do purpose-driven talking, they're very calculated in their words. When extrovert talk, they can speak anything. But when introvert talk, it's very calculated and, very purpose-driven. Conversation is totally different. So you were talking about like making people visible. So, you know, like we are also like giving health and everything. But sometimes, did it happen that you were invisible to yourself while you're making sure that people are being visible, or what you do not to have that you being invisible to yourself while making others visible?
I think I spent a long part of my career in that role, and I don't think I'm in that phase anymore. And I think that, you know, especially in media, when you're a producer, I'm exec producer now, I produce multiple TV shows, and you're in a position where you are giving visibility to people. You're making other people famous, you know, and for a long time, that was me. It was the person behind. But I think since I've understood and explored the power of my own voice and, you know, claiming that audience, I don't feel that I go through that anymore. I think it's one of those things where when I'm in my media role, I see it as a responsibility and something, it's actually an amazing tool that I have that power to give visibility to others through the platform. So everything I now do is very much from the same lens, whether it's about growing my own visibility because I know it impacts individuals, or whether it's producing TV shows that offer a platform to businesses and individuals to grow their businesses through visibility. So it's kind of all connected, but I no longer feel that I'm invisible in that scenario. I feel my purpose is different. When I'm producing, my purpose is different. It's to give people visibility. And on my own platform, the purpose is different. It's because I'm reaching consumers directly.
Right. So, so a lot of people might be thinking, what exactly Reem thinks about the visibility? Is it the title, presence, confidence, or something deeper?
I think visibility means different things to different people, but I think it's about being your authentic self in whatever medium makes sense to you, so that you can claim the spotlight, claim the opportunities, and be seen. And you started off by saying, you know, for some people it could be in a boardroom, for other people it's on a stage, for other people it's in front of a camera. You know, everyone's objective is very different, but it's about fulfilling your full potential. And I often see a lot of people who are the experts in their field and they are not fulfilling their full potential just because they're not speaking up. And I think that's the
Yeah.
key. It's how do you ensure you're fulfilling your full potential? And if that means you need to get active on social media, get active. If it means more people need to know who you are and you need to be speaking on stages, get on stages. It's different for different people,
Exactly.
but the ultimate question is, are you fulfilling your potential?
Yeah.
And if you're not, then usually being more visible is part of the answer.
Yeah. Something you said previously in other questions answer that everybody has something to say. I believe that some people were actually not they were not in the same thought that everybody has something important to say. But I believe everybody has something to say to the world. So even I have invited some of the patients in my podcast, and I was telling my theater staff, theater in charge, that you also must be having something very important to say to the world, like patient coming to operation theater, and then they're anxious, they don't know what's happening. They don't know there's a human side of the theater. So what happens in our operation theater? Husbands are allowed during the cesarean, and they get surprised, such a calm environment. So I always tell them that we are also human. So I told this operation theater in charge that come to the podcast and tell that human side of the operation theater, that we are human. So everybody in the world, even somebody working in the kitchen, they have something important to say to the world.
But I think it's also realizing that there's always someone behind you in that chain who's ready to learn from you. So that information you have to share is of value to someone. And I always remember we worked with Lucy Chow. I'm not sure if your audience is familiar with her. She's a very popular key opinion leader in the investment space, but now also in the gaming space. And I'll never forget working with her because she said to me, why will anyone care what I have to say? She's like, surely people can just Google. Like they can Google whatever they want and they'll find the information, or now they'll chat GPT, whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I remember telling her, she's actually, she's Chinese and she's from Canada and she lives here. So I said, that's true.
Yeah.
Anyone can Google and get the facts.
Yeah.
But how many people are going to have your unique voice and your unique perspective?
Exactly.
Being, Asian from China with your level of experience in the Middle East and female, that is a very, very unique voice that is going to resonate with someone that they're not going to find on Google.
Exactly.
And I think everyone needs to understand that we all have our unique voices.
Exactly.
Am I the only person talking about visibility? No, there are plenty of other people. Am I the only person talking about the importance of video? No, plenty of other people.
Yeah.
But I know my audience. Like I know that because I'm female, I'm Arab, I'm in my 40s, I'm Libyan, I have a very unique profile that when I speak, I resonate with a certain audience that maybe someone from the UK who's male isn't,
Everybody has audience, I see.
Exactly.
I'm meeting a lot of people for my podcast also, and I do collaborate. So I know some people who are working for Menopause. Just yesterday, I was just talking to some friends, and I know that they want to talk about menopause. So everybody has something to say. My last guest was Mummy Back to Work. So she works in some good company, who were very nice to her when she was back to work. But she has stories to tell that what could have been different, even though there were celebrations, there were cakes, there were balloons, but there's those silent struggle of the mother is much beyond. So I feel everybody in the world has something to say, and everybody gets audience, as you said. We are on the She's Well forum, and women could be invisible a lot. So tell me, what do you think, what is the most invisible struggle women have?
The most invisible struggle, honestly, I think most of them don't realize their own potential. Most of them don't feel confident in actually expressing their journey or expressing their experience, and they don't realize it has value. So for most women that at least I've seen or I've worked with, it's limiting beliefs that they have, probably from their upbringing, sometimes culturally. So interestingly, I feel that the majority of women that at least I'm speaking to seem to be going through some kind of life transition. So they're usually either their kids are now leaving home. They've suffered a death in the family. They've had some form of redundancy or shift in their work life, where it's made them think through what they felt were their goals when they were, younger, and
Yeah.
and kind of exploring their life today and thinking, hang on, why didn't I do this? What has held me back? And often it's because either someone or some thought has held them back, and they need to get over that in order to achieve their full potential. So most of the time, the issues are up here. It's your own limiting beliefs based on
Waiting
the
too
experiences.
long.
Yeah.
Thinking life is there. We are just
But often it's
20 or
people.
30.
It's people. Often
Yeah.
it's the people you surround yourself with.
Exactly.
That one comment a family member makes, or that one statement a husband or a wife makes.
Especially by culture.
Yeah.
Culture has, I think, a lot role. They held back women a lot. A lot of cultures have. We understand that, yeah.
But I also think the older you get, like I know for me, the older I get, the less I care. So older I get, I'm like, I'm fine. You like me, you don't like me. You want to be my friend, you don't want to be
can
my
relate.
friend. I'm okay. It's like, it's not about that anymore.
I can relate to that.
And it's something that I learned a little while ago, that in life, 30% of the people you meet are going to love you. 30% of the people you meet are going to hate you, and 30% are kind of indifferent and neutral.
Exactly.
And since I kind of learned that, it's given me so much freedom, because I just feel like, it's okay, you don't like me, you're not my 30%.
Exactly.
I'm talking to this 30% of people.
And it's making you happy what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think I can relate to what you said, because I'm also that person, because it makes me happy what I'm doing. And my patient, they tell me that it's really good. I mean, whatever the information is coming, and they get to know women want to freeze their egg. Information is there in my podcast. Women want to be visible. They can have some energy from podcast. So I feel like we cannot follow everything in life. We should follow at the end of the day what makes us happy. You talked about transitions. I think women is only gifted with all those transitions, motherhood, menopause, illnesses. So what are your observations like because I have a lot of observation, because I deal with women. I have one girl, and she said, she came after a year after delivery, and she said once she delivered, she was offered a bigger position in her company. And she said, I do not know what happened, but I couldn't join. And they even offered me, once you're okay, come back. And it was already a year. And I said, why you didn't come back to me? She said, what? I would have told you, because it was probably postpartum depression which went on. So women have all these hormone stuff, menopause, illnesses. And you must have had observations regarding that women become real invisible. So, yeah.
I think it's very common that we're all going through changes, but I think what I've noticed is the people who own those changes and the people who are authentic on camera or on their content with those changes are the ones who people resonate with the most. So something I feel like I've got better at the last couple of years is like I always, people who know me, well, I always believe in using the word outstanding, and I want to be as positive as possible. But it doesn't mean I wake up every day positive, So, there are days where you're feeling down, days where things aren't going the way as planned, and I will post about those things, and I will share content about those things. And I think if you learn to embrace the transitions and be yourself and be authentic about them, then that resonates on a much higher level than almost anything else that you do, because there are so few people who actually articulate these challenges that when you do, you suddenly find a flurry of people who are grateful and thankful because they can connect with you. So my one piece of advice is, whatever the transition you're going through, embrace it, share it. You're not alone. But what is the challenge is most people don't want to talk about these things.
Exactly.
So the minute you start, you will see that everyone else will follow.
Yeah. I think being vulnerable connects you most.
Yes.
Because people don't like 100% Barbie. They like people who are like them, who are fallible at some time, who have illnesses, who have moments, who have up and down. You're very right about that. So social media can give you illusion of visibility. So how do you make sure that women is visible for their authentic impact, not just presence?
I think everyone needs to have their own objective. So I often tell people I don't actually care what happens in public. It's what happens in private, because often people don't want to engage and follow and like and comment. Like that is very public activity. And if you look at your own behavior, you probably don't engage on everyone's content, right? So it's like, what is your objective for even being visible? What are you trying to achieve? So for me, if I get that one message, that DM, someone reaches out with an opportunity, or I've helped someone, that is the metric that I like to measure. And I think everyone needs to decide what does it mean for them and what is the metric that they should measure. But it's never the metric that people see. It's always the metric people don't see.
When you measure the success of Mission Visible, so how do you measure it? Measure it by numbers reached, stories told, policies changed, or something else?
None of the above. So, for me, especially with Mission Visible, we've got two memberships. We have a membership called the Tribe and a membership called the Clan. And the Clan is like, the way I describe this to people is the Tribe is like the gym. You join a gym, you get access to content. The Clan is like having a personal trainer and someone working with you along the way. And if you imagine you've gone to the gym and you've gone to the personal trainer, it's never the small things. It's always the whole transformation. So the way I see it is, when I look at Mission Visible, I want to know that a year from now, all of our members have had a transformation. And the transformations are different for different people. So I'm very aware of everyone's goal. And I think that's the only way you can really measure transformation. It's like, where are you today? Where do you want to be a year from now? And then what are the actions that you've taken to get there? And thankfully, we run a lot of workshops and one-day boot camps, and I can see the transformation. So I can see people who come at the beginning of the day who are like really nervous and really uncomfortable, and they don't want to be on camera. And then by the end of the day, they're like super confident and they're ready to film a video. So for me, it's something you see. When you can see someone who has literally gone from nerves to confidence, or someone who used to spend a whole day filming a handful of videos and now does all those videos in an hour because they're comfortable and confident. So these are all shifts that it's not the same for each individual, but you need to start with a goal. And for me, Mission Visible, if everyone is working towards transformations and achieving those goals, then we're doing something right.
Amazing. Yeah, I was there in one of the meeting and I just wanted to explore what it is. And I saw women were very happy. But tell me what you guys have for somebody who are already out there in the camera, already doing stuff. So do you have anything for that population of the women? Because they are also a lot in the Dubai.
Believe me, even if they're out there, there's probably a gap. There's probably an outcome that they want that they haven't achieved yet. So we do have members who are very confident. It's not just about confidence. It's about the accountability to consistently put yourself out there. It's very easy to lose momentum. It's very easy to get tired.
Consistency.
Yeah, the consistency is number one.
Important.
So if you're out there today, you're not out there tomorrow, you're out there next week, you disappear for a week, you're not going to get the results. Exactly. So I think one of the key things about Mission Visible is we're your accountability partner more than anything else. And I don't think it matters what level of confidence you have or where you are on that journey. Everyone needs accountability.
Exactly.
And I think also because we work with so many established personalities and presenters, for those who are on the higher end of that spectrum, there are always new opportunities that we work on with them.
That's amazing. So I want to ask now, any project or campaign where you would have pause and think that, yes, this is exactly why we exist.
Honestly, I don't think it's a project or a campaign. I do feel Mission Visible as a whole is why we exist. We do a lot of boot camps through my company, Dubai On Demand. We produce a lot of video content. Through TI22 Films, we produce a lot of TV shows. But Mission Visible is where I feel we create the biggest impact. And that's honestly why we exist, because it's when you can see transformations in people. And that's a very unique experience that I don't think anything else that we do offers.
I actually totally agree to that. And it's really energetic transformations and thing. And even being visible yourself, it's amazing. So more than me, my kids, when they see my podcast, I have two boys, 18 and 17, they like it a lot. So this also gives me a lot of positive energy and feeling like to do this all what I'm doing. So now people thinking they want to be visible, but some people would have done some mistakes when achieving those goals. So, and they would have wished that they would have understood better when they started. So, do you have any advice or any of such examples?
I think it's never too late. I think you can constantly pivot, constantly change, and constantly learn, because in the visibility space, there's always something changing. New social platforms, new technology, new cameras, new AI is disrupting everything. So the way I see it is it's never too late. It's just about gaining that confidence to press the restart button, and whatever it is, it's the consistency that's going to make the difference. So, you know, and if they need to be inspired, check us out. We'd love to welcome you to the community.
I'll put your details in description so they can approach you. Yeah. So now, mashallah, we are seeing so much energy. So who inspires you? You know, in our field, we say what you ate in the morning. So, I mean, who inspires you?
So I have a few different answers to this, I think, in different ways. So my mother is someone who I always think about, because she's a very dedicated, persistent, consistent person. So I think I grew up with that around me, which I think inspires some of my behavior. But I'm also a huge Tony Robbins fan. So I have been attending his workshops for over 10 years. And, you know, I've done multiple trainings with him. And I think, you know, when you learn that level of energy and you see someone who is able to inspire and motivate thousands, you know, I feel like I'm taking a tiny piece of that and seeing how I can bring that into the work that we do. So definitely Tony Robbins is high on that list.
Amazing. We all like him. Maybe we don't have opportunity to see him a lot, but we all love him, honestly. So now I'm working with the women, and women, she becomes, as I said to you, like motherhood, mommy back to work, a menopause, or maybe a small girl during periods, they become invisible to the world. So what they should do, how you think Mission Visible can work to amplify or to help those invisible journeys?
I think similar to what I just shared, which is I think embrace the journey and gain that little bit of confidence to start sharing it. You don't have to be your best self every day. You know, you can share the challenges that you're having, and that will resonate with an audience.
Exactly. And there, you know, nowadays workforce is more of the women. So I was sitting in my hospital in HR. The boss of HR was a guy, and there was a meeting happening in the next room, and I invited him, do you want to come to my podcast talking about all these stuff like mommy back to work and all those things? And he was just thinking, and I said, you see, the next room, every person is a woman. So workforce of the women is so much. And also after longevity is increasing. So, you know, like in the past, women used to continue giving birth or like later. So they were menopausal at the age of 58, and then they used to die 60. But now menopause happens earlier, maybe 47, and there are big journeys. So even the career, along with career, motherhood and everything. So if Mission Visible has to do something for health-based transitions visible, like all these health-based transition visible, what do you think, what could be the first 3 steps?
Honestly, it's similar to what I've already shared, which is that I honestly think that the people who are going through these transitions need to start sharing. They need to start sharing their journeys.
Exactly.
I happen to a friend of mine who's in her 50s, and she's in the presenting space. She's now actually producing a documentary about menopause.
Wow.
So the point is, she's taken that journey, she's taken the stories of people and just putting it out there. And I think that's the key. It's like, take all of these stories, embrace your knowledge. People will want to learn from you. And that's honestly the only advice I can give anyone, is to realize that there's value in what you're going through that others can learn from, and start sharing it.
That's amazing. And a lot of women, they lose confidence during their career pauses also. So what they should do to rebuild their professional identity and the personal power?
I think if they are in that position where they need to rebuild, I think the first question they need to ask themselves is, what do they want to be known for? And that's a key question. Whenever we're training anyone, I always ask them to think through that question. What do you want to be known for? And then think about your objective. Why are you being visible? What do you want to achieve? when you understand the answers to those two, then it's about crafting a new identity that will focus your audience on that message. I would say, as much as possible, I hope it's aligned with who you are and your passion, because it becomes very difficult to sustain something that isn't you. So it's that trifecta of what you want to be known for, why you want to do it, what are you passionate about. To start, even if you start from scratch, it won't take you long if you have the passion, the purpose, and the objective, and you're consistent.
And it could be anything. Some people are passionate about makeup, some people are passionate about cooking, and nothing is small.
Yeah.
Nothing is small, yeah. So if you were to design something, Mission Visible and She's Well campaign, so what do you think? Like, what should be the theme or message? Would you choose to spark action across the workplaces? I'll tell you some of the example. Like there are people like menopause champions. There are advocates. So tell me if you would be making women visible across those transition, and there has to be one campaign which combines She's Well and Mission Visible. What could that be?
Again, I'm repeating myself, but I really think it's as simple as, capturing those transitions and those journeys and sharing them with the world. Make your journey visible. Make your health journey visible, because that is what's going to connect with people and help them.
Exactly. And especially this time and especially in Dubai, most of the girls are working actually. So they're not just mom, like probably back in countries, people choose to stay and it is normal. But here, everybody choosing to work also. So what is your hope for the women visibility in next 5 years and the role every one of us can play this to make it happen?
We started the community a year ago. And my vision is that this is a global movement. Although it started and was born in Dubai and in the UAE, I imagine us over the coming year growing both from a language base, but also from a country base, because I think it's so relevant, and everything that we're sharing, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you're from, it's a journey that we all need to embrace. Exactly. So I guess my vision is for this to become bigger, have an even bigger impact. And I think it's very viable, and I think it's important. And I think the first step anyone can do is just like get out of their own way. What is that one thing that you've been holding yourself back from doing? And just start small. It doesn't have to be big, but just start small. For you to grow that comfort and keep going. With everything, it's the consistency.
Exactly. And it's very important to be authentic yourself rather showing somebody else which you're not.
Which takes time. I get that. But I think I'm also a big believer in immersion. So that's why when we do our boot camps, it's like a full day of a lot of exercises that will push you out of your comfort zone. Because if you do that for a full day, then you'll come out the other end and you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Oh, I can do this. So sometimes that's also the way forward, is like just jump in, and you'll be surprised at how much more confident you get.
Someday I will just bring you somewhere else and bring the women.
There you
my
go.
Patient. That's amazing. So now we have a lot of women. They might be unseen, unheard at home, in jobs, or within themselves. So what is one practical step they can start from today to do it? Actually, you can directly see the camera and give this message.
So the one piece of advice I want to give everyone out there is to honestly just explore their knowledge base. Understand, what are you an expert in? What are you an expert in? What are you passionate about? How can you help people? How can you add value? Because the one tip I can give people is, if you embrace your knowledge, everything else will go away. The fear will go away, the nerves will go away. You'll realize that you're helping people and you're adding value, and that will get the responses that will show you that what you have has an impact. So embrace your knowledge and start small. Start sharing that knowledge, because when you get that positive response, that's what's going to build your confidence to get even more visible in new ways.
I'm an advocate about the menopause at workplace. And I saw some places, they have menopause champions. So these are the guys who know a lot of knowledge. So rather women shying away from the menopause, not talking, not sharing, these are the guys who actually open up the discussions on menopause, hormonal stuff, and they call themselves advocates. So sure, of course, they will be helping women also. what do you think about the future of this thing? Like in Dubai, like is it possible that will be, because the word for menopause in Dubai is sana alias in Arabic, sana alias, the years of despair, and the word in Chinese is second spring, which make women more positive and coming to it. So what do you think about it? Can this change the narratives about the menopause in Arab world? That term takes very negative connotation. So what do you think about that?
So I'm not a workplace culture expert, nor
Yeah.
am I an HR expert,
Exactly.
none of these things. So the
Yeah.
only thing I would say is that I truly believe that, again, coming back to visibility and coming back to media, which is my area of expertise, is that we often, what we see in the content out there is what normalizes situations for every other facet of our life. So the only way that any of these topics, whether it be menopause, whether it be mums back to work, whatever the topic, the only way that that's going to be normalized is if we start seeing more examples of it in the media, in our content, on our social feeds. So, and that really stems all the way back to people being comfortable talking about it,
Exactly.
So I genuinely believe, and that's why you'll see, even if you're someone who watches a lot of Netflix, right? Which I do. I consume a lot of TV content.
love
I'm
that
in the
also.
industry, but I consume it as well.
Yeah.
And you'll notice certain themes and certain trends. So, when certain topics start coming up more than once in different shows, it's because it's like, oh, we're normalizing this topic for the wider audience. So on a smaller scale, if you want these topics to be normalized in a workplace, they need to be things that are spoken about and put in a public domain.
Exactly.
So, I really see media as a tool that can amplify these conversations and also allow us to discuss them more freely.
Right, you're very right. Maybe we need more representative from the same community where the word sana alias, and these women should come out and they should talk positive so other women can come for the seeking help.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned my friend Poonam, who's literally doing a documentary on menopause, and I do think that's what I'm trying to communicate. Is she's going to produce this? It's going to be
Exactly.
released. There's going to be a whole world of people who both participated in it and who are going to watch it, who's going to impact them. So don't underestimate the value of content and how it can change some of these conversations in all environments.
Yeah. These days, a lot of Hollywood is coming out for menopause, like Oprah, Drew Barrymore, Noemi Watts, and Halle Berry. I saw all of them. They're engaged in these conversations. So probably it's changing somewhere in the world, but not everywhere. But I see a lot of movements are happening in Dubai right now also. Tell us something about yourself. We talk about everything Mission Visible. Anything you want to share with the audience. That's your moment.
I think following on from our conversation today, I think the main thing I want to share with everybody is that, life is short, and who are you living your life for? And often when we're working with people, we realize that they've held back a lot of their goals for different reasons. They're not as visible as they want to be. They should have been for a person, for a cause, for whatever reason. And maybe now's the time that you get out of your own way and just do it, and I think that's the key message. And I say this because it's had such a huge impact on my life. I spent so much of my career behind the camera, and it's only really the last 8 years or so that I started to be more visible. And I've seen the difference it's made. I've seen how, I get more business opportunities. I get more PR opportunities. I am also making an impact in more people's lives. And that's all because I gained the confidence and got out of my own way. And I think you need to start thinking about why are you living? Why are you working? Why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
And honestly, if you're not having the impact that you want, what do you need to change?
Yeah.
Something I'm very passionate about is vision boards. I run vision board workshops.
Amazing.
And I truly believe in being very clear about what you want in your life and your goals, and then looking back and seeing how can you change those things. And that does align with visibility, because a lot of people, it depends on how you envision the future.
Yeah.
It dictates how you're going to act today. So if you envision yourself in a year's time standing on a stage, well, you know what? You need to start making those changes today. So I think that's a key piece. I believe in manifesting, but I don't believe manifesting just happens because you wish it and you dream it.
Yeah.
Manifesting happens because you've put a board and it's top of mind, but then it's what are the actions that you've scheduled along the way to help you get there.
Wow.
So that's a key piece of my journey. It's made a big difference to my life. I've been doing vision boards for about 14 years.
Wow.
And as I said, it's been about 8 that I've pushed myself to be in front of the camera. And that's really what I want to inspire other people to do. Because I really don't believe anyone famous or anyone in front of the camera is any different to you. They just have had a different journey and they're sharing their knowledge and their talent with a larger audience.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I can just see like what is exactly vision board is. Like it's about like for some specific people or your team or what it is.
No, so a vision board is a visual representation of all of your goals.
But you do it for whom? For yourself or for some other people?
So I started off doing it for myself because I
Right.
believe in it so fully. And then gradually, I remember the first time I wanted to keep myself accountable. So I invited a few people and then it turned into workshops.
Wow.
So I now run workshops twice a year. We just did one recently. But what I do even more than that is do it with my team. So I make sure that everyone in my team has their own personal vision board because I think it's very important that you have your own one. And then we work on a company one together. And if we work on the company one that actually includes all of their personal goals, I've now got a team that is very involved and very vested in the corporate one. And it makes a very, very big difference because now you know that everything you're working towards fits your vision for the future and is not just, haphazard or we're not just reacting to opportunities.
That's amazing. That's a good idea. And it's giving a lot of ideas to me also. You had such an amazing conversation we had. And I think I can talk whole day with you. Yeah. So, but we have an end. That was amazing conversation. I enjoyed. I'm sure my audience will enjoy also. That's a bit of a souvenir.
Oh, thank you so
where
much.
We are just thanking you. And there's a QR code. Anybody can just